Omega-3 is one of the most commonly discussed supplements in male fertility. But does the evidence really favour capsules, or is food the smarter play? This is the Men's Fertility Nutrition Podcast. Practical, evidence-based strategies to support sperm health and fertility potential. I'm Alex Hardy, Men's Fertility Dietitian. And in this series, we focus on the things men can control to make a real difference. Let's get into it. Omega-3 has become one of the biggest talking points in male fertility nutrition, and there are good reasons it receives so much attention. But that doesn't automatically mean every man trying to conceive needs a fish oil capsule. So in this episode, we'll look at why omega-3 became popular, what the evidence actually shows, and how to think about whether it deserves a place in your plan. Omega-3 didn't become popular in male fertility by accident. There's a genuine biological rationale behind the interest. Sperm are highly specialised cells, and their membranes are rich in fatty acids, particularly the long-chain marine omega-3 called DHA. That matters because membrane structure influences movement and fertilisation function. As researchers observed links between omega-3 status and sperm function, interest grew in whether improving intake could help support sperm health. At the same time, researchers also began looking at whether broader dietary patterns and omega-3 rich foods might influence sperm health in real-world settings. One of the most well-known studies involved men consuming 75 grams of walnuts per day for 12 weeks while otherwise continuing a typical Western-style diet. By the end of the study, researchers reported improvements in several sperm health markers, including motility, vitality, and morphology. That finding mattered because it suggested that diet could influence sperm quality within a single sperm development cycle. But it's important to interpret that study carefully. Walnuts do contain plant omega-3 in the form of ALA, but they also provide vitamin E, polyphenols, minerals, fibre, and they may displace less helpful foods in the diet. So while omega-3 may have been part of the story, it was unlikely to have been the whole story. What this study really supports is the idea that whole food dietary changes can matter. Food studies were one part of the story. Supplement trials also played a major role in the popularity of omega-3. One of the most commonly cited studies used a combination of 720 milligrams of DHA and 1.12 grams of EPA per day over 32 weeks in men with semen abnormalities. By the end of the trial, researchers reported improvements across several semen parameters, including sperm count, concentration, motility, and morphology. That's a meaningful finding, particularly because the study ran long enough to cover multiple sperm development cycles rather than just a few weeks. It also helps to explain why omega-3 found its way into many fertility supplements and practitioner recommendations. But one positive study is still not the same as settled evidence. To understand where omega-3 really stands, we need to look at the broader body of research. When researchers look across multiple studies rather than focusing on one positive trial, the picture becomes more mixed. Some reviews report potential improvements in semen parameters such as motility or concentration. Others have found the evidence is less consistent, particularly once differences in study design are taken into account. And those differences matter. Across studies, omega-3 interventions vary in dose, supplement formation, treatment duration, baseline fertility status, and overall diet quality. So comparing results is not always straightforward. More importantly, improving a semen parameter is not automatically the same as improving the chance of conception. At this stage, evidence that omega-3 supplementation reliably improves pregnancy rates or live birth outcomes remains limited. That doesn't mean that omega-3 has no role. It means that the story is more nuanced than many headlines suggest. So if the evidence is mixed, how should men think about omega-3 in practice? My general view is that food first usually makes the most sense. That means regularly building in omega-3 rich foods such as oily fish, for example, salmon, sardines, or mackerel, a couple of times per week, along with plant foods like walnuts, chia seeds, flax seeds, and an overall Mediterranean-style dietary pattern. Whole foods deliver more than a single nutrient. They come packaged with protein, fibre, vitamins, minerals, and other compounds that may also support metabolic and reproductive health. They can also improve the broader quality of the diet by replacing more processed or less nutrient-dense choices. Supplements, on the other hand, are more targeted tools. They may be more relevant when intake is consistently low, seafood is rarely eaten, or diet quality is poor. Supplements often get the attention. Diet usually matters more. For many men, the bigger opportunity is improving the overall diet first, while using supplements selectively rather than automatically. As always, this podcast is for general information only, and it's not a substitute for personalised medical or nutrition advice. If you're navigating fertility concerns, it's important to speak with your doctor or a qualified healthcare professional. So that's omega-3 for sperm health, where the evidence is promising in some areas, less clear in others, and often stronger for food patterns than supplements. If you're finding this series useful, don't forget to follow the show so you don't miss what comes next. In the next episode, we'll look at weight loss and male fertility, where the evidence is strongest, when it may support sperm health, and why the way weight loss is approached matters. If you know someone who might benefit from this series, please share the show with them. That's one of the best ways to help the podcast grow and reach more men who need clear, evidence-based information. And if you're trying to conceive and would like personalised support, I work with men and couples across Australia via telehealth. You can learn more or book a sperm health assessment at accessdietetics.com. Thanks for listening.